Well, we're going to transition into some pop culture stuff. I know Mike Smith from Media Mikes is going to be joining us here in a few minutes, but let me go to Oprah Winfrey. She's been in the news this week. Bob, did you know that she was up and won? She's one of 3 nominees who are winning the Presidential Medal of Freedom Awards. You know?
Only 3? I thought there was like dozens.
Well, there's 16 nominees, but I'm under the impression here that 3 of the 16. Oh, I see. 3 of the 16 recipients. So Bill Clinton, Oprah Winfrey, Ernie Banks. So Oprah, though, did make some other news this week with a struck me as a pretty extreme comparison when she was in the middle of her interview on the Today show. I guess it just says Today. I didn't see the actual clip. I got the transcript and read from this. And Oprah was discussing race relations. She has a new movie coming out that deals with the black butler in the presidential White House under different administrations, and she made a comparison to the Trayvon Martin case to the famous 1960s murder of Emmett Till. Now, for those of you that don't know much about the Emmett Till case, because while the Mississippi murders were commonplace and have been represented in several movies, Emmett Till, to me, is almost like making the Nazi reference that we talked about earlier. This is so extreme, you need to be very cautious when you use an Emmett Till reference. Emmett Till was kidnapped, savagely beaten. He was shot in the head. Just brutally beaten. When they found him, he was tied to like a metal fan, weighed down in a river with barbed wire. Now, whether you're a supporter or not of George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin, to me it doesn't matter, but it seems like very, very big stretch to make that comparison to Emmett Till. And Oprah, in my opinion, you should be embarrassed. You're better than that. You're lowering yourself to the standards of Al Sharptons and Jesse Jacksons and just fueling race tensions just for exploitation. There's no way that you should make that comparison. And if you do, you're, to me, damaging the legacy and the memory of Emmett Till and what he represents as possibly the lowest point of the civil rights movement with what happened to that young boy. It's just horrible. And for you to know, be careful Googling up Emmett Till. There are graphic photos from his funeral. His mother wanted everyone to know how bad her son had been treated, actually demanded an open casket at his funeral. So you need to be warned that the photos are very, very intense if you do a wide open Google search, because his casket was open and those are public domain photos, so they are absolutely everywhere. All right. Mike's going to be joining us any minute. Any other story you want to squeeze in real quick before we... No, bro. I did want to ask you about the Medal of Freedom recipients. You said there's 16. Do you have the whole list? I'm trying to get the list open, and then I started talking about... Okay, yeah. Ernie Banks, Ben Bradley, Bill Clinton, Daniel Kahneman, a psychology scholar, Richard Lugar, Loretta Lynn. I know who that is. Yeah. Mario Molina, Sally Ride. Now that's one that I can actually get my support behind. That one I can really get behind.
I was just like listening to some of these names that I actually recognize.
Dean Smith, the UNC coach.
What on earth?
Why is that there, bro?
Do these people have to do with freedom?
Does John Wooden, did he get one? Because, I mean, Wooden was like by head and shoulders the best coach. Dean Smith, man. Here's one. Gloria Steinem.
There you go.
All right, bro.
Now I know the value of the Medal of Freedom.
Patricia Wald, and of course Oprah Winfrey. Quote: one of the world's most successful broadcast journalists. Absolutely, and I kind of I'm okay with the Bill Clinton Oprah Winfrey thing because there's a lot of good stuff that was done, and her legacy and that kind of thing. Being an entrepreneur, what she's done for women and all of that. I kind of get the Oprah thing to a certain extent, but it depends. You're right, because it depends on how they want to define freedom and what's it really going to represent. So anyway, that's some of the names. I didn't go through all of them. A couple of them I'm not even sure how to pronounce properly, and I don't want to butcher any more names and embarrass myself with my speech problems. So let's go to Mike, because he's much better at all this than I am. So, Mike, my friend, we have 3, according to your ratings, 3 very good movies this week. Am I right?
You are correct, sir.
All right. If you go to MediaMikes.com, you're going to see a couple of reviews we're going to talk about. I'm going to go to a couple of the smaller ones, or at least the ones I care about least, because it's my show. And we'll start there. You may have won me over. It's a rated R film, so we need to get to why it's a rated R film. However, The Spectacular Now. You made Oscar comments in this review, Mike. You're going to have to justify this. I might be interested now.
Yeah, It is similar to the way back from last month. It is a small, well-written, well-acted personal piece that, and I kind of noted it in my review, really for the first time, in my opinion, captures first love, what it's like, the trials and tribulations. Both of the performers, Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley, very good in this film, very honest. It's not at first I thought it was going to be another one of those typical teen kind of comedies where the cool guy takes the nerdy girl under his wing, and it started out that way, and I was like, and then it just went in an entirely different direction. It just really is so honest. Miles Teller really did a great job. It's definitely it'll be on the short list. Mark today's date. It'll be on the short list, I'm sure. Of
we're gonna rope Bob into this because you referenced movies that might be up his alley. He made comparisons to romantic comedies. She's All That, Pretty in Pink, and 16 Candles.
Right.
You're not a fan of Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles? Bob's just giving me the face.
Molly Ringwald?
Molly Ringwald.
Oh, my God.
It's old school.
I feel like I'm in the Wayback Machine.
You are in the way back machine. It's the transition. All right, so let's go to you really like the We're the Millers.
We're the Millers, very funny, very outrageous in its tone, in its storytelling. Once again, a good cast and a funny script. The basic premise is a local drug dealer needs to smuggle some money in from Mexico. He recruits a couple of his neighbors in his building to pose as his family. As they say, hilarity ensues.
Hilarity ensues. That's fantastic. Okay. It is also another rated R film for those of you that are looking for family-friendly flicks. So let me get to the one that I am most excited about. I get to use dystopia, Bob, because we had that vocabulary word this week. Bob and I are constantly tweaking our vocabulary, making sure we're not misusing words, and that's one that's thrown around a lot all of a sudden is dystopia.
Trying to learn me a new word.
Learn me a new word, Lindsey Graham. All right, so Elysium. Tell me about Elysium, because this looks like an amazing sci-fi fest.
It is, if you're familiar with Neil Blomkamp's last film, District 9, he was able to take a serious subject of, to me, apartheid, and turn it into a sci-fi adventure. And basically, it's the same thing here. He's done it with overpopulation, with the 1% versus 99%. The basic story is Earth has just been beaten to hell with war and crime and disease. So they've built this beautiful space station up above the planet called Elysium, and that's where all the privileged people live. Meanwhile, down on Earth is the people that are working to support it. And the object, it's like I would liken it to say like the problems that they have with Mexico. The people in Mexico are trying to come to America. Here on Earth that are smuggled or trying to be smuggled into Elysium to assimilate in culture. It's got it's a smart script. It's not preachy, but when you're done, you're thinking, wow, that's just a lot more than just a cool sci-fi film. It really had a message, and like I said, like District 9, it was very well made.
Let me tell you what, folks, it's a fantastic review, a lot of details, all three of these movies, tons of other movies. He has a great interview on here. I'm looking at the Farhan Tahir interview that you did. He's in Elysium as well. Yeah. Escape Plan as well, and several other movies. They've got book reviews. There's a Sharkopedia, the complete guide to everything shark, which takes us to Shark Week. I want to talk about that in a couple moments. So there's a ton of great stuff. They have contests and prizes, passes to screenings and events and that kind of thing. So if you're in the Florida area, they definitely are going to help you out with that. And what else is coming up here in the next couple weeks, Mike? And people can look at, because we got to wrap up our summer season of movies before school starts back. Is there any other big flicks coming out that you kind of got your eye on?
Nothing. Well, there's. I think the as far as big movies, we're pretty much going down the line of those. Now with summer coming to an end, Planes did open this week. I didn't get a chance to see it. That's probably the last big summer, I guess, tentpole movie. Next week, coming up is a film called The Butler, or actually it's Lee Daniels' The Butler, because I guess Warner Brothers had a film in the 1920s called The Butler, and they were suing the film company for using their title. That's Oprah Winfrey, Forrest Whitaker, a very serious drama about based on a true story of a African American who worked in the White House under several administrations. Fanboys, get ready! Kick-Ass 2 is next week. Jobs, the Steve Jobs biography with Ashton Kutcher is coming up.
Now that one I really liked the last couple trailers on that one. I'm not a huge Ashton Kutcher fan at all. However, his transformation into Steve Jobs, and then the whole theme of the entrepreneurism thing actually interests me a lot. Bob, you interested in that one? That one actually might be up your alley.
Yeah. I got a taste for something like that.
We may have to carve out some time and sneak away to see Jobs. We're going to have to figure that out.
We'll find a way.
All right. Mike, as always, you're the man. I appreciate everything that you do and all your hard work. Folks, you can check out MediaMikes.com. Check out all the reviews and information. Brother, I will talk to you again soon.
My pleasure. Have a good week.
All right. Well, he mentioned... I mentioned off his site a Shark Week book, but I want to get to a story, because if you haven't seen this is just fantastic. Shark Week. You're a fan of Shark Week, Bob?
It's the best.
It's the best. It's fantastic. You got to admit that when my boys were little, Shark Week was actually like an event in my house. They would just look forward to sharks and Shark Weeks, all the videos and all that. And of course, you get great footage of them leaping out of the water and all that. Well, this week during Shark Week, there's been kind of a bit of a backlash, because Shark Week had a documentary. The documentary is on Megalodon, The Monster Shark Lives. Sadly, though, it's all bogus. It's all a lie. It was completely a sham. It's all made up. Megalodon is fake.
Not real.
No, they got an actor to come in. He played a part. There's a big backlash that came through Facebook and Twitter and some of those things, that Discovery apparently fabricated a lot of the, quote, evidence. And that Discover Magazine even kind of came out and publicly said, "Hey, listen, you really shouldn't do this. This was kind of misleading." And of course, the TV show has disclaimers at the end. It talks about, dramatization and those kinds of things. Which, by the way, folks, is a code word of we may have hired people to play the actual people. We may be taking some liberties with the truth and those kinds of things. So, just so you know, Shark Week does have a few pitfalls this week that contradicts the pure science. So, Bob, what else we want to go to as far as you have a lot? I mean, there's probably tons of updates.
Yeah. Let's go to Kaylee Hardig real quickly. Kaylee, of course, was the little girl that got the brain-eating amoeba. The latest updates from her is she's out of the ICU, and she's expected to start probably many months of rehab. It's a miraculous story, to say the least. I don't have words for it. As a matter of fact, there was somebody on my Facebook wall who made a comment about it. And let me see if I can find it, because she is an infectious disease doctor, and she lost a child to this parasite 4 years ago. So,
wow. Yeah,
she basically said, "I can tell you that this case is an earth-shaking breakthrough." So
that's incredible. 12-year-old Kaylee Hardy, continue to lift her up in your prayer. She's an Arkansas girl who, may actually survive this. This is an extraordinary thing. We've already been in contact with the family, letting them know we're praying for them, we're reporting all the news to continue other people to lift this child up, and just in hopes that she is scheduled to leave ICU which is
She
incredible.
She is out of ICU.
Oh, she is out. She's out of ICU. I mean, this is an incredible recovery of an illness that people do not survive. This is a great story. A great story. We even get bogged down with all the negative news and all of that, and unfortunately, that's the nature of our world. But we need to carve out time and pay attention to a great story like this. So, fantastic one. That's a great choice. Let me tell you what. Last night, my wife and family and I had a great chance to see Tim Hawkins in concert. He's a comedian. They do a lot of clean Christian stuff, things like that. And they had another comedian. His name is Max Winfrey. So shout out to Max. He's able to give me a little few minutes to do an interview. You can check that out on theglobaldispatch.com. Max Winfrey. He is a stunt comedian. I had to get a crash course on what stunt comedian is. Let me tell you what. There's juggling, knife throwing. There's a unicycle at one point. I hadn't even seen a unicycle this big. It was a pretty cool show. So if you get a chance to check out Max Winfrey and some of his stuff, that was pretty cool. So, but what else are we going to go to?
Well, I just want to tell our listeners, if you want to read a story that will really stick in your craw, check out theglobaldispatch.com's headline right now concerning the federal employees and the members of Congress getting a waiver from Obamacare. Brandon, you wrote the story.
Yeah, I briefly mentioned it while we were chasing down our guests there. And you know, whether you're a supporter of Obamacare or not, I mean, don't you want the politicians to have to live by the laws that they write for you and me? Don't you want, I mean, isn't that you talk to anyone and they get so frustrated by the politicians and Hollywood living by completely different rules. I mean, they get drunk, they crash their cars, no problem. We always talk about the ones that are being caught with fraud, the one that had cash in his fridge in the middle of Katrina, and just all of these different things that happen. Well, here you have them writing a law that impacts, by their own admission, nearly 20% of our economy, and they're excluding themselves from any negative impact. I don't know how it's not a bigger headline in the news, because I don't think it's sensational enough for a New York Times cover and that kind of thing. So anyway, well, who should we shout out, Bob? Who you got on your list over there you just want to say thank you to? And
Nobody in particular. You know, my family's been wonderful about this and the different projects that we're working on, and friends at work, and we've been having great success with getting guests on the show, you know, for a relatively new show. So I'm really pleased.
All right. Well, I want to special prayers for my Aunt Barb. She'll be headed into a procedure this week, and she's had a miraculous recovery already, and it'll be great to see her get that put behind her. I want a special shout out to Rob and Robin Johnson, who I've heard that because of our website, our show, and our story about Fox News, they have now banned Fox News and some of the news coverage that's allowed in their home. So I appreciate your loyalty. GlobalDispatch.com.
Makes it all worthwhile.
It sure does. It's nice to know. So we will be back again next Saturday, 8 to 9. Feel free to tell a friend or two. If not, you missed any portion of the show and you catch a previous show, check us out, theGlobalDispatch.com. You'll get all the podcasts, YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff. We will get together again next weekend. Take care. Be safe. God bless.
I'll be the GPS when you've lost your phone. I'll be the song that's rocking in your headphones.